Hello ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for coming back to my channel. I am Screen Scene Guru, and tonight I'll be discussing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I'm going through all of James Gunn's projects, getting ready for Superman. So going into that, I've got the Guardians struggle to keep together as a team while dealing with their personal family issues. Notably, Star-Lord's encounter with his father, the ambitious celestial being Ego. So very interesting story here, guys. This was following up the 2014 Guardians of the Galaxy. The sequel came out in 2017, so a few years later, Volume 2. These all had amazing, fantastic soundtracks. So I highly recommend you guys checking these out. You can watch them on Disney Plus, Prime Video, a few more places you can get on physical media. Going into the second Guardians, we see they've been a team for a little bit, with Star-Lord leading them. They're still, up to their mischievous ways. Going into the story, we see them working for the Sovereigns, the Golden People, at the beginning of the film, which they leave their planet with Nebula in their custody. So that's really cool to see. Bit of a family reunion. And then, of course, the Sovereign attack their ship because Rocket stole batteries. So that's very interesting to see. They crash land, and then Kurt Russell arrives as Ego, Peter's father. I really loved the casting for this second film. The story was really good too. I heard a lot of gripe back when this film came out about Death Watch. We were waiting to see who the MCU would kill off. And surprisingly enough, it was Yondu, the father figure, because he lost his mother in the first film, and then losing his father figure in Volume 2 was very interesting to see. James Gunn working that emotion, that trauma, but it was very awesome. They gave him a good send-off, and then a lot of more characters were introduced in Volume 2, including some of the original OG Guardians, so I thought that was really fantastic to see. Sylvester Stallone's character, and Yondu's an original, and a few more others. We also got to see Mantis introduced in Volume 2, so that was really cool. So going into the cast, we've got the original 5, which is Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper, and is there another one? Karen Gillan. Okay, so yeah, those from the original. We also got Michael Rooker returning from the first one, but introducing Palm Clementine as Mantis. Really awesome role she had, connecting to people's emotions, and she also puts Ego to sleep. So that's very interesting to see. Like I said, Kurt Russell is in this one, de-aged at the beginning, which that was very interesting to see. Elizabeth Debicki is the Sovereign mother of Adam. Sean Gunn, Kraglin returned. So yeah, there's a whole lot of people involved in Guardians Volume 2. A lot of good action scenes. The poster was amazing. So if you guys haven't seen it already, I highly recommend Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 from 2017. Go check it out. But now, going into my comic reviews, I got a bit of the old school classic Guardians of the Galaxy comics. And a few more, but let's just go over a few right here. I've got Guardians of the Galaxy issue number 32. and this was in 1992. Charlie 27 fights for his life against Badon, Captain Universe. So here's the cover right here. You guys a bit of a glimpse of Doctor Strange does make an appearance in this issue. So very interesting collabs in this. This is in the future, 31st century. I want to go to a page that has some pretty cool stuff in it. Right here we get to see Doom discussing plans to work with the mutants, teaming up and collabing with them. So I thought that was very fascinating. Doom being introduced to the story. And of course, he is trying to get Rancor and her elite commandos to work for him, while Captain America from 2 times meet with Doctor Strange in his fortress. And then we get to see Doctor Strange pairs his Eye of Agamotto to see into the future himself as a master. So he knows it is his destiny to, in fact, help Vance get back to this planet. They mention they have to use the dark dimension to traverse space-time. So very trippy visuals here that are pretty cool to see. All kinds of creatures they encounter. So that's very awesome. I love going to the dark dimension. Got some cool, interesting craft to see, some UAPs. That's awesome. Going on, yeah, we get to see that one of the Guardians was dropped off in this gladiator arena with these, looks like reptilian aliens. Captain Universe is, they mention a spirit that inhabits bodies for pure fight. So that's very interesting to see. Back to Doom. We got more Doom in this comic, where he's trying to get the power of the mutants on his side for the future. Very interesting stuff there. We do see that Doom offers what is her name? Let's see, Rancor, one of Wolverine's blades, one of his daggers from his hands at Madripoor, Battle of Madripoor. So the sign that Doom was able to remove one of Wolverine's claws, I think, is a pretty interesting sign of power and the dynamic of strength in the Marvel universe. Going on, it's right around here. I thought this was a very interesting page right here, where Vance and Doctor Strange over here are followed by the creatures from Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, the eye creatures. They ended up getting their eyes poked out. I did think that was fascinating. They do come from the comics. And then, of course, the same page, the cover of this fight, was the final page in the back, but just done up a little differently. I really like this comic, guys. Badoon versus Captain Universe. So I highly recommend going out and checking out Guardians of the Galaxy comics. This one was from 92, I believe. 1992. So that goes well with the one I reviewed earlier today. If you guys caught my Guardians of the Galaxy 1 review, you've seen that I've also done another comic review. Going into some more, let's see, I've got West Coast Avengers, issue number 88 from 1992 as well. This one featuring Wolverine, so that's pretty cool. You get to see U.S. agent fighting some Russians with Wolverine on the cover, so that's really awesome. We just saw a U.S. agent in Thunderbolts, which I saw in the theaters. This one going into the story of the Second Cold War, which is kind of interesting to see. The cover right here. This does have Wonderman in it. I know they're building up to Wonderman, the TV series, but it looks like very interesting stuff where they have this team of the West Coast Avengers going up against the Russians. We do not see Red Guardian in this issue, but very fascinating to see. We get a different team of the Avengers, and just to see where they go. Let's see. Moving on. I'll find a good demonstration. We get to see Captain America calls Hawkeye back at their mansion and discusses plans they have to basically reinforce the West Coast Avengers with new team members. They're always looking for, replacements for their teams. Let's see. Okay, yeah, they discuss that there is Crystal, common rate English, with our guests, full genius, the Soviet vengeance. I've learned the development of this prototype was proceeded in a secret station. The Americans, what I would translate as quick freeze crystal. It would take your scientists years to perfect, even if funded hadn't properly been stopped. So they mentioned that a single crystal, which only this globe's artificial vacuum prevents, for the moment, from swiftly covering all of North America in ice. So very interesting. These crystals they've managed to make, they just want to drop them from a plane, basically, and that would stop the threat of nuclear war from North America, because they'd be putting us into a new ice age, which is not very nice, but there was conflict going on all the time. Show you guys a bit of story right there. Very interesting stuff. If you guys haven't checked out already, I am wearing a Agatha All Along tarot card style shirt. I got that at Hot Topic a while back when Agatha All Along was still playing. Let's see. Okay, we do get to see our heroes break up out of their ice prison and get rescued. So that's fun. Going on. Let's see. That's a nice one too. You see all the Russians fighting amongst the different Avengers team. And then of course they all take off. And they do allude to Ultron returning in this last page. They say the Russians got a hold of a copy of Ultron's brain. So it's very funny. And they do have a Quinjet, similar to X-Men, that the West Coast Avengers ride around in. So I definitely highly recommend you guys check out the West Coast Avengers. If you haven't already heard of them, it's kind of what Thunderbolts ended up becoming at the end. They call them New Avengers, which there's several different teams, iterations, Young Avengers. But going on to my last Guardians of the Galaxy comic, I was going to save this for my other videos, but figured I might as well spoil you guys. But I got Guardians of the Galaxy, even in the 31st century, There Shall Be a Phoenix. World of Mutants. Part 3 of 3. Issue 11. This was in 1991, so back in the 90s. Iconic era for the comics. See that? Nice. So yeah, one of the Guardians becomes one with the Phoenix. They mention, let's see, Starhawk at the beginning. Like I said, he fights the Phoenix every time it comes around, once an age. So that's very fascinating to see. The Phoenix Force released, and all of the galaxy having to deal with the Wrath. I really love whenever they show off the Phoenix in the comics, because really great art. Let's see. Starhawk, of course, messing around with the team. Here's another really good representation of the art. If they did that live action, I think that would be fantastic. Because unfortunately, the Sophie Turner Dark Phoenix live action, what we got last time, wasn't as cool as what we thought we could have gotten. Let's see. I'm trying to find a good page for you guys to show off all this stuff. Different members of the team battling, different people showing up, portals. So yeah, there's a lot going on. They do discuss, they take off from their planet in a big spaceship. And then chaos ensues on their world. Things start to fall apart very quickly, like Krypton in Superman. You see, in fact, their world does, in fact, be destroyed by the power of the Phoenix. So that's very fascinating to see. Shockwave. And then the Phoenix Force seemingly disappears. Only to reappear after they say, I believe, Captain America 2, with the aid of Starhawk. Let's see. For the name of the planet. Aiden? Interesting. Yeah, it was called Aiden. But, kind of like Eden. They teleported all the people off of the planet before it was destroyed by the Phoenix. So that was very good of them. So yeah, that was this comic right here. Like I said, guys, this was issue 11. Came out in 91. It's crossover with Phoenix. So it's really cool of the comics. But what do you guys think of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? Have you guys watched the movie? If not, definitely check those out. James Gunn is getting ready to ramp up his slate for the new DC Universe coming out with Superman, July 11th. So be sure to go out and get your tickets for that. Until next time, guys, I want to tell you to support the channel by liking the video. You can comment down below what your thoughts are. Subscribe if you haven't already. It costs you guys nothing to subscribe, so it helps me out a lot. I've already made it up to 68 subscribers, so I appreciate the support. Until next time, guys, that's me signing off. So bye-bye. Have a good one.